tried to do something a little bit different this time. As you can already see, this is a photograph of my sketchbook, one of my many sketchbooks, and I actually haven't drawn with pencil and paper for quite a while. And the more I was doing digital art, the more I was trying to sketch out and do the ideations of certain characters, many of whom, if you've followed the channel, you've seen, and if not, then there are videos prior to this one that you may have seen. Um, I tend to always kind of have a hang up whenever I'm doing the sketching phase of a new character, and I have realized multiple times and have expressed as much multiple times on this channel that, like, because I'm recording myself draw, I feel a little bit of pressure there, and so I feel like I don't do my best work because I'm trying to make sure there's not a lot of dead air. I'm trying to make sure that everything that I do comes out good, even though clearly it doesn't. I erase a lot and make a lot of mistakes. But something that I used to do uh, all of my life, all of my life up through college and etc. I slurred my speech together a little bit, and I don't edit this, so you might hear that if I can't find a way to cut it out. I don't know. Most of my life, I would always have a sketchbook in hand and multiple pencils, and I would pretty much just always use a number 2 pencil that I would meticulously sharpen over and over again because I wanted it to have a really fine point, and a sketchbook. And I did that mainly because pencil and paper were cheap, and that's what I had, and I didn't want to put a lot of money into art supplies that I may or may not ever use, but a pencil and paper I pretty much always had around. And then, in my teenage years, I started getting specific sketchbooks. So that's something specialized to art supplies, I suppose. But a big problem I always had then was I would just doodle, basically. I would start to draw, and I realized real early on, if I don't know what the character's going to look like, I'll sit there and just doodle on a piece of paper, and I will never make any progress. And most artists who do kind of character design, they have their sketchbook, and they'll just do practice sketches. They'll draw the face in multiple poses. They'll do isolated construction and kind of figure out what the thing looks like. And I've always had this big handicap of I need it to be correct the first time I do it, which is still a habit I have actively tried to break over and over again. So that's, I wanted to go back to my roots with drawing pencil and paper, and now with advanced computer technology, I could take a picture of my sketchbook, which was just always a little too big for a scanner that I had access to anyway, and so I could upload that photo and throw it on here and use that as my sketch. And I wasn't sure if that was going to be weird that, like, the sketching phase of this video was already done by the time I started it. But I still think there was a lot to do because I moved things around. So let me tell you about this character. This is Callahan. Callahan is a sapient collection of laundry, basically. I really wanted to play with the fact that he doesn't have a body in there. He is the clothes. So the gloves are just kind of attached to the sleeves and hanging loose, and if you see the shepherd's crook that I gave him, he's actually gripping it by wrapping the sleeve of the coat around it. That's actually his body, and that's how he wields the thing. So I wanted him to be very ragdoll, scarecrow kind of inspired. I didn't really call him a scarecrow because I wanted him to be clothes without, like, stuffing, without hay. No references to Wizard of Oz there. But I had to give him the button eyes to make him look like a doll. Just that's always what's been in my head when I picture this character. And imagine, if you will, you walk into a saloon or something, a dive bar with seedy types of people, and you see just a collection of clothes slumped over the counter with this doll head just face first in a glass. He doesn't drink, he doesn't have a stomach, he doesn't have a mouth. So why he's there, I don't know. But then you get into some kind of trouble, and this guy stands up And he surprises you by not only being a sapient collection of clothes, but also being able to handle himself in a fight. I picture him as being voiced by Clint Eastwood, like a young Clint Eastwood, kind of Dirty Harry era, which is why his name is Callahan. He is named after Dirty Harry, though the references to Dirty Harry kind of stop there, with the exception of him being that type of character that is like, witty, kind of a tough guy, tends to get into verbal altercations with people, spewing the occasional insult. And I like the idea that he kind of fights by just wrapping his sleeve around this stick and flinging it around, and he could maybe wrap himself around enemies. He can't really get hurt if you punch him or pick him up or slam him against the table, because he's just laundry. How does he talk? How does he move? How does he fight? Don't ask those questions. Those are things you're not supposed to think about. Anyway, I hope you liked this one. Thanks.